Good day to all of you. We will continue with the sonnet When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be by John Keats. Now, this sonnet has two major thought groups. In lines 1 to 2, Keats expresses his fear of dying young. This is the first thought unit. In lines 1 to 8, he fears that he would not be able to fulfill himself as a writer or fulfill his calling or vocation as a writer. And in lines 9 to 12, he talks about love and the fear of losing his beloved. In the concluding 2.5 lines, Keats resolves or comes to an acceptance of his fears by asserting the unimportance of love and fame in these last two lines. Now, in summary, if we go to see, Keats writes about what he does whenever he is overcome by solemn reflection that he may die before he has achieved anything of lasting value. So, in the first quatrain, we had seen how the poet's mind is teeming or full of ideas and thoughts. So, he has a teeming brain, and Keats is like a farmer uh, ready to harvest the fruits of his fertile imagination. So, words like gleaned, garner, grain, all of these suggest a harvest. If we talk about the agricultural terminology or the calendar, where things come to fruition and the fruits of the farmer's labors can be enjoyed. But Keats has not reached that stage yet. His poetry, he feels, has not yet yielded any real fruits. The books of poetry that Keats wants to write do not yet hold the charactery, the text of his greatest or most rich work. All around him, Keats sees things which he wants to write about. In the second quatrain, that is the night sky with its stars described as huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, suggesting the magic behind the stars which the poet wants, desires to write about with his magic hand of chance. In line 9, he turns to address his beloved. Most probably, this is Fanny Brown, whom Keats would have married if he had not died at that young age of 24. What his fear is that he would never be able to look at her anymore or to experience that ethereal power of love. And when he has such thoughts, or when he's overcome with such negative, morbid, depressing thoughts, he feels very alone. And then the worldly love and fame cease to have any meaning for him. Time and the fact that the poet may not have much time left to make his mark on the world has been a preoccupation of Keats in this poem. In the couplet, he talks as if time is even shorter than the poet had realized or could realize. And true enough, within a couple of years, John Keats was dead because of tuberculosis. At in the last two couplets, in the last two couplet, Keats talks about human solitariness when he says, I stand alone, and human insignificance. That is the contrast between his lone self and the wide world. So, when he uses the word shore, shore, so shore is a point of contact. It's a kind of a threshold between two worlds or two conditions, that is, land and sea. So, Keats here is crossing a threshold from his desire for fame and love to accepting their unimportance and ceasing to fear and yearn.